for the one, the only, Paul! Hey,
Hey, Paul, how you
Paul!
doing?
That intro was crazy.
Right? She
I'm-
rehearsed
I'm-
that. She rehearsed
Can you-
that for like
can you
4
tell?
days.
It was
4
perfect.
days.
No,
Yeah.
thank you, Paul. I actually didn't rehearse it. It's just I'm that much of a fan. And to have you on the show today, I mean, is just incredible. Before anything else, how are you? How have you been throughout this entire crazy pandemic?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing okay. Like, could be better, could be worse, you know. But here we are, and it's exciting to put out the album, and yeah, I'm fired up.
We're excited as well for all the fans of Lainey, but I just can't help but notice when we zoomed that camera, I saw a photo of Kurt Cobain unplugged right there. Are you a big fan of Nirvana?
A lot of respect for him and what he kind of represented in that time, and yeah, there's a bunch of photos on this wall that you can't see, but this is like my mood wall, you know. And that's one thing that I did during quarantine, or just kind of scoured the internet for inspiration as far as like what was going to drive the visuals of this album and the merch of this album, and eventually when we get to play shows, like what we should be wearing and all kinds of stuff like that. So I have fun doing that side of, I write all the songs and the music comes first, obviously, but it's also really fun to match it with visuals and things like that.
So it's like a total experience. That's what you
Yeah.
guys are gonna bring in when the touring comes back. Where are you calling us from? Are you in Los Angeles?
I'm in my house in LA, and yeah, that's where I've been locked up basically.
Paul, I like that you're saying, you've got a mood wall and that you, along with your bandmates, you guys are already thinking of the creatives behind the launch of the album as well as the upcoming tour. I mean, where do you draw the inspiration from, though? Because let's face it, it's pretty bleak outside, and for a band, for a songwriter, it can be really difficult to be able to, draw inspiration, feel creative, and all of that. So how have you guys as a group been able to overcome those roadblocks, the negativity and all that in order to, visualize what you guys want for this third album?
Yeah, so every song on Mama's Boy was written in 2019 before I had any idea what 2020 was going to be like. And one thing that I am really thankful for is that there's not really any sad songs on this album. And I'm thankful for that because I don't think the world needs any more sadness or anything like that. The whole album. I mean, there's like the saddest song on the album would probably be Paper, which is devastating. But overall the album is full of hope. It's very wholesome. Malibu Nights was it was a breakup album, and the Crescent Moon and was kind of indicative of the season of that album. And I wanted this album to be drenched in sunlight because the moon doesn't even exist without the sun. And I worked that into the lyrics of You, which is the first track off the album, which was on purpose. And everything about this album, like the beautiful sunset of the album art, like on Instagram, our icon is this kind of sun-faded bandana. And yeah, it kind of worked out. I didn't know how bleak and tough this year was going to be, but this album, I hope just makes things maybe just like 1% better.
Yeah, what's cool about what we're seeing here is, like, other than of course you sharing the vision or the album, is that with your mood wall, is that with everything in the world that's uncertain, that your mood wall just keeps you. Does it help keep you in perspective? That the direction that you guys want to head to?
Yeah, totally. Like once the vision's cast, like I stay very committed to it. And oftentimes just during the album writing process, I don't necessarily know exactly where I'm going, but I have a certain way of figuring it out, and sometimes it just comes to me. And once I knew where we were going, I just stayed very committed to that. And look, it feels weird to put out an album and not go and immediately play shows, and we had conversations earlier on this year with the band and the team, and we're like, do we even put out an album? Is it a waste of time? Is it a waste of energy? But ultimately, I think what the world needs most right now is people to do what they were created to do. So if you're a doctor, go be a doctor. If you're a songwriter, go write songs. If you're a journalist, like, go and ask the questions. And just like, we just need people to get back to being them and doing them and kind of move on. You know what I mean?
True.
That's beautiful. Oh,
Great
you really
thought.
are a songwriter. Okay, since we're
Great thought
talking
on that.
about the album and of course you going back to writing this, you said you wrote this, you wrote the songs back in 2019 before you even knew what 2020 was going to be like. For this album in particular, this is going to be the third studio album. And what's so cool, Paul, is that you went to Nashville for this, right? Because I mean, Lainey as a band, you're Los Angeles based. Your songs have been playing all around the world. But did you really do that on purpose? Like you decided we were going to make Nashville a place where we were going to sort of conceptualize and birth this album? Because, Nashville is the home of so many greats as well.
Yeah.
And I love the sound of this album because it's so different as well. Like you said earlier, there's like one sad song. And like it's just like you guys went back to the roots of it all. So can you tell us more about Mama's Boy and why you decided that Nashville would be the perfect place for this album?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for saying that. And then also, of course, everything is on purpose. I live and breathe this. It's really the only thing I have in my life and the only thing I have going for me. So it's all I think about. And I knew I wanted to go to Nashville and work on this album. In January of 2019, I wrote a song called Paper with Sasha and Henry. And it was one of the few songs that I've ever started on acoustic guitar. And before Mama's Boy, acoustic guitar, we have never had acoustic guitar on any Lainey album. And that's interesting because the acoustic guitar is such a fundamental, basic instrument. And it's something that Jake had really always kind of fought for or talked about and was like, I can't wait till we incorporate acoustic guitar. So I wrote Paper in January 2019, and I was like, you know what? When we go and start writing album 3, I want to go and start it in Nashville. There were a couple people there that I really wanted to write with that are based out of Nashville. And so the second tour ended in like September of 2019. We went to Nashville for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, we wrote 6 of the 14 songs off Mama's Boy.
Wow. Nashville, Tennessee. That's what it's all about. Johnny Cash.
That's right.
Were you listening to any records while you were there? Were you feeling the vibe of Nashville that you had to get some of the local records there? And before you went on studio?
I don't necessarily, when it comes to songwriting, because we write the songs first and then we go to the studio and we make them what they are. I'm not ever really referencing any other songs, but I will say, Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves, won album of the year in 2018, and rightfully so. And she wrote and produced all of those songs with a guy named Ian Fitchuk, and he was one of the people on my hit list, if you will, that I wanted to work with. And we actually wrote Good Guys with him. And that was amazing to work on that with him. Another person in Nashville who I love so much is Kim McAnally. And I wrote I Still Talk to Jesus and When You're Drunk with him. It just was all about, like, I just knew exactly. I had an entire schedule. Everything was mapped out. I know who was Monday, who was Tuesday. And one thing about, this album is I was incredibly vulnerable and transparent on Malibu Nights, and people really appreciated that, and it was well received. And I knew my challenge was, how do I be equally vulnerable and transparent about things outside of heartbreak? And that was one thing that I wanted to really do on this album. So I made myself like hyper aware of my every situation and emotion and experience, and was like really diligent in typing everything down into my phone. So the first day in Nashville, I typed "If This Is the Last Time" in my phone, flying from Shanghai to Beijing, because I was like, yo, everyone in my family is pretty healthy, but there's a couple people I really love that are getting older, and like the next time I see them, I guess it could be the last time. And so we walked into Nashville day one, bam, wrote "If This Is the Last Time."
Oh, my
schedule.
God.
Full schedule.
I love because it ties in with what Paul said earlier, that everything has a purpose, and things happen because of that purpose that it was set out for. Paul, did you guys as a band feel any pressure that, oh my gosh, Malibu Nights was so insanely well received? I mean, first of all, let's talk about Mama's Boy and the fact that a week before the album's release, it's already platinum. So congratulations.
Congratulations on that.
Obviously, it is already well received. But prior to knowing that, were you guys a little scared, a little hesitant? Like, okay, guys, we're not going to be writing sad songs. We're not going to be writing a lot of heartache type theme things here. Is this like, were you guys scared?
You know what? Actually, like famously, the second album was supposed to be the one that everyone like flops on, and we smashed that. So I wasn't like too concerned. It was more just like an inner challenge for myself. There were some things that I really wanted to. There's a few songs on this album that I'm totally fine for being known for the rest of my life, and that's really what I wanted to do. And so I think the biggest challenge always just comes from ourselves. We really challenge each other and we really push each other. And as much as like the pressure that other people might put on us, we put way more pressure on ourselves.
That's good to know. I'm sorry. I'm just so like, I love how he's like, oh, you know what? It's fine. Whatever, guys.
Did you ever imagine that you are going to be this massive, that Lainey's going to be this massive? I remember your first Manila show. You guys are like, man, did you guys ever imagine that?
No way, man. Like, I spent so many years of my life writing music that nobody cared about. And honestly, they didn't need to care about it because it's pretty bad. But, like, once we started this band, I think our biggest goal was just to play this festival in Austin, Texas, here in the States called South by Southwest. And we played it within, like, our first 10 shows. And so ever since then, everything's just kind of been icing on the cake. And, it's incredible. I'm kind of like, sometimes I tell my mom I'm just waiting for my luck to run out or something. I don't know what's happening, but until then, I'm just going to make the most of it and be responsible with whatever has been given to me. And, we have a beautiful fan base that's growing slowly but steadily and flourishing around the world. And I definitely am excited to get back on the road and to play this album.
Hey, honey, it has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with talent. The three of you are so incredibly talented, honestly. And that's why people gravitate towards you. Okay, Rico, quick, rapid fire fun questions. Go.
Just random questions for you, Paul.
Yeah.
How much is your first paycheck? How much was it? And what was the first thing you bought?
Oh my God.
I started working at a grocery store when I was 14 years old in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I can't imagine my first paycheck was anything. I guess like what you're really looking for is like, when did I like get money or whatever, when I bought like something nice. I think like at the end of 2017, we played 135 shows that year. And
wow.
I remember sitting in the green room in Glasgow, Scotland. And I'm not the richest guy in the world or anything like that. But I remember sitting there in that green room and we had a call with our business managers, and the tour had done pretty well, and we were like going to get a check that none of us expected that we were going to get. So I got that check, and then I remember Rupert and I in January of 2018, we went and bought our first Rolexes, and we bought them together, and they were magic. We called them friendship bracelets.
Oh my God. Okay, those are some bougie friendship bracelets. Okay, noted. Okay, we wish we could have you for longer, Paul, but unfortunately we can't. I mean, hopefully someday soon you can come back to the Philippines, because I know your Filipino fan base just misses you guys so much. Congratulations once again on Mama's Boy. What do you want fans to take away from this album and all of the songs? Like, after listening to it, what's one thing that if the fans say, okay, that's what I got from it, like that would make you so happy already as an artist?
You know what? I don't really have a point I'm trying to make, and I don't have an agenda I'm trying to push. At the end of the day, I really just want to be listenable. Like, I just want people to be able to turn a song like, yeah, I can listen to that. That's awesome. That feels good. And that's really it, like, I just want people to enjoy the music, to live their life to the music. If we can be an artist on somebody's playlist that soundtracks their lives, that's all I want. And you like it, you like it, and if you don't, that's okay too. So,
He's so chill.
Paul, you know, this is a question I'm going to ask you because there's a lot of heartbroken people that
yeah.
are watching and listening right now. Do you have any love advice for
Oh,
people that are heartbroken and can't quite figure it out what to do?
well, you should ask Jake and Les that because they're the ones that figured it out clearly. But I will say that 99 out of 100 times it's not supposed to work, right? And it's supposed to be about finding that one that it does work with. And so that's the risk that you take. I often think that sometimes people don't think about the risk that falling in love really is. But look, give it your best shot. Exercise like the good parts of being human, like being selfless and putting the other person first, and patience and communicating and understanding. But if it doesn't work out, it sucks, right? But 99 out of 100 times it's supposed to. So get up and go try again.
That hurt. That hurt. I felt
It's the
that.
best.
Okay. Okay. Last, before you go,
Thank you.
Paul, message to all of the Filipino Laney fans that cannot wait to see you guys again, and of course that are listening to the album. Message for everyone.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for making the album platinum already. That's insane. It means so much. The love and support over the years has been overwhelming, and it really does mean the world to us. We love you. We made this album with you in mind, so we really hope you like it. And the second we can come back, I promise you we will.
Yeah. Thank you,
Awesome
Paul.
stuff.
Thank you so much for spending
Thank you very
time
much,
with us.
Paul.
Take
Thank you.
care. Congratulations. And we'll see you soon when everything is safe. Okay.
And thank you for having me.
Bye, Paul.
All right, my man. Thank you very much. There you
Oh
have
my
it,
God.
Carla.